Why, hello there. Welcome to Smart Aspirations with Justin Huff. Sit back, chill out, and go on a journey around the world. Around the world. Justin will discuss tales of hope, discovery, and general irreverence with some of the most dynamic personalities in the travel business. Remember, we do cool shit, and so can you.
I always try to incorporate some wellness element into a client's itinerary. And one of the major things, if not the major thing that I stress on a trip to Hungary for anybody is to Budapest is obviously an amazing city, but getting outside of Budapest is the real rewarding experience. And what are some, first I want to start off with quick day trips that guests can do that you would recommend? And also, what are the other major areas of Hungary that you would suggest for guests visiting the country for the first time?
Yeah. So the day trips, an obvious day trip is the Danube Band north of Budapest.
Yes.
Like Szentendre, Visegrad, Esztergom, those small settlements. Actually, the first town is Szentendre, which you reach like 30 minutes by car or 50 minutes by public transport in a suburban train even, or you can go by bike, 1.5 hour bike tour to Szentendre in like really nice road in close to the Danube, on the bank of the Danube, and in natural environment. So that's a really great active trip as well. So Szentendre is really like a jewel of the Danube Band. It's an artistic village. So it's like years ago, really like the artists have moved out there from Budapest. You know, it was much more like a creative environment, and still you find actually many artists who are working there, painters, and so you can still marvel in many galleries.
Right,
so it's really a great place to buy art pieces there, or just walk on the small narrow streets, cobblestone streets, and great food. You can try some really traditional Hungarian food. For example, my favorite langos place is there.
Oh,
you know, langos is like it's a dough, it's a sourdough, looks like pizza, but it's not pizza. Right. So it's round and it's savory. The dough is similar to donut, but it's savory, it's salted.
Yeah.
And we eat it usually with sour cream and garlic and cheese. It's thousands of calories, but worth it.
It's worth every single no, so
absolutely.
Good. Yeah. You're making me miss Hungarian comfort food. We'll get to food in a second. I could talk about Hungarian food for an entire episode.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so Szentendre is amazing. Plus, Szentendre has as well a great open-air museum, Skansen, where you can see actually the original houses from 8 different Hungarian regions. So actually, those houses have been moved there from the original places, stone by stone, to the museum and rebuilt them. So you can learn about the different parts of Hungary and see how people lived in the 18th century.
Right. And my story from Szentendre was I was there. Am I saying that right? Szentendre?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
I was there during it wasn't like a school holiday, but all of the local schools, for whatever reason, because I could tell the kids were in different uniforms, and they all had like descended on the main square, and just thousands of kids just everywhere. It was just really, really cool to see the different uniforms and just the different teachers kind of like getting all the kids kind of like wrapped up, and they were all doing these little like it was almost, it wasn't a dance, it was more like a song. They were both singing to each other and I had no idea what it was, but
Oh, nice. Okay.
it was a really cool thing to experience. But so on from Szentendre, what's the next stop?
You can go to Visegrad. I really love Visegrad. Actually, it's the smallest settlement of Hungary. But despite the smallest, as I mentioned before, it was as well one of our capital city at one point.
Right.
And it has as well a Renaissance palace. It had a Renaissance palace built by which king?
Let's go Matthias.
Yes, Renaissance palace, of course.
Renaissance. I had to do the timeline in my head. Good question.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really, so you see the ruins of his palace there, and there is a historical exhibition and a wax museum in the citadel. Right. The castle is really amazing. You have a gorgeous view to the Danube band, and you have as well there is medieval tournaments held there by knights, like real knights who are part of the like still did all of the exams to be a knight. So it's really great, but they are fighting against each other, and of course it has like an element of humor as well, like the whole tournament, and you can try as well the throwing or archery. They are helping you, so it's really like an interactive and great program as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember walking along the Danube, and I was taking a photo of the ruined palace and everything up at the top, like the classic Visegrad view. And this lady came up to me, and she was just like, you know, I live here, and every day we walk up and down here, and I never really paid attention to how beautiful this really is. And thank you for coming and taking a picture. And I was just like, okay, that was nice.
Oh yeah, that's really great. I love Visegrad. It has as well a Renaissance restaurant, which is really like it really can be enjoyed, like the atmosphere of a distant past. It's really medieval dishes are served with waiters who are dressed in medieval dresses. Plus, you can dress up as well as kings and queens with the crown and everything. But they really have amazing food, so really great quality food, and it's really like a royal treat, I would say. So it's worth a visit, that restaurant.
A lot of fun for sure. And then you go on from Visegrad to...
You can go to Esztergom on the Danube band, which has like the biggest basilica of Hungary.
Huge. It's really impressive.
Yeah, if you have been to the Vatican City and the basilica there, you know, like many of the basilicas of the world are marked there, the size of the different basilicas. Right. So the Esztergom basilica is there as well. It's marked.
Yeah, architecturally, you can tell that there's a difference. And I loved walking around. I mean, it's kind of on this hill and it overlooks the Danube. Yeah. But these really cool, charming little gardens that you can walk around outside the basilica, which I liked. And the town itself is pretty interesting.
It is as well, and next to the basilica, again, you have a medieval castle, and it's like a small town, but you know, you can reach as well Esztergom in 1.5 hours from Budapest, but there is a possibility as well to stay there in the town, even in Szentendre or in Visegrad or in Esztergom. Sure. For those travelers who are really into the more active vacation and be a bit secluded and go hiking in any of the hills in the neighborhood, or, you know, the Danube is really close, so you can do water sports as well, or bicycle riding, it's possible there. And then in the meantime, you explore these small villages. It's really great.
Yeah, it's really nice to just slow down and kind of take everything in like that. But you can you visit Szentendre and Visegrad and Esztergom in one day, or would you recommend kind of splitting it up?
Many tours are doing that. So if you want to have a glimpse of these towns, just walk through Santander, have maybe like a breakfast or lunch there, and then climb up to Visegrad to have the view from the castle. But in Visegrad, you can even go for a bit of an adrenaline rush. There is a bobsledge and a zip line as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
for younger generation who want to have some fun, they can do it there. And in Esztergom, visit the Basilica. Yes, you can do it in one day, but it's a lot of travel actually. And but yeah, it's possible. If you wanna slow down, of course, it's better if you do it in 2 days. But you can visit the Danube Bend in one day. Usually, groups are going. Actually, majority of them to Santander and Visegrad. So do these two, and then you can immerse a bit more to the two village.
Going up, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And which is still like a day trip out of Budapest. I really love Gödöllő.
Right.
Gödöllő is as well like a 45 minutes drive, and it has the biggest Baroque palace. I don't know if in the world or in Europe, but definitely in Hungary. But it's a huge Baroque palace, which was given actually to Franz Joseph and Queen Elizabeth Sissi as a coronation gift.
Okay.
So you still have, like, you can visit the palace, where I really love their guided tours, because actually you can marvel around the castle with Sissi herself. So it's
no kidding.
Amazing lady, looks like Sissi, like the same height.
Who Sissi is, because I think that's a really, really important thing.
Yeah, so Sissi, Queen Elizabeth, who was the wife of Franz Joseph and like the Austrian empress,
right,
as well at the same time the Hungarian queen. Hungarian loved Sissi, and she loved Hungarians as well. And actually she spent more time in the Gödöllő castle as in the Hofburg. Maybe you know some stories about her, that she was a Bavarian princess and really couldn't actually get settled with the rules of the Hofburg in Vienna, and they didn't like each other with the mother-in-law, the mother of Franz Joseph, so they always had a lot of fights. So she spent really I think 6,000 days in the palace or something like that in Gödöllő, and she learned Hungarian. She really fought for the rights of Hungarians, and thanks to her that actually it was peace between the Austrian court and the Hungarian state actually as well.
No wonder she's so beloved, especially with the linguistic connection and how much time she spent there and what she did.
Absolutely. So you still can see her original room, which is full of pink marble, and her bed is there, and like the today Sissi, the tour guide can tell a lot of stories about their lives in the castle. So actually that's a great tour. I really love it.
Yeah, that's a really, really cool day trip. That I did not do, but just knowing that now, I would really like to go back and experience it. I've seen photos, and we'll put some up on the YouTube video so people can follow along too. But that sounds great.
Yeah. Plus, the last day trip out of Budapest is to Etyek, which considered the vineyard of Budapest.
Right.
Many people don't know that Hungary has 22 wine growing regions. Mm-hmm. So actually great quality wine, smaller vineyards and wine growing areas, but really unique grape types as well, because our microclimate is actually unique as well. Plus we have loads of volcanic soil, which is really great for the grapes. And if you don't have time to go to the distant wine countries, then Etyek is a great pick. It's just 30 minutes drive from Budapest, and amazing small vineyards, so you can do wine tastings, but lunch, dinner as well outside in the gardens. And what I love about the Hungarian way of wine tasting, but not only in Etyek, but anywhere in the country, usually you get to meet to the winemaker, the owner of that winery, and they are telling you the story. You can really meet the locals, and not only with like an employee who cannot tell you with such a great experience and like with a great happiness about his own wines. So I really love that you have this immersive
personal connection,
great trip connections as well in our wineries.
Well,
so in Etyek you really
Napa,
can do that,
which is about 45 minutes away from my house, Napa and Sonoma, and you hardly ever see that level of interaction between the winemaker and the owner of the winery and the people that are visiting there. So I think that's really, really special. And especially,
but while we are talking about Napa and the wineries there, maybe you know the Buena Vista Winery, which is like a big, like one of the original wineries in Napa Valley.
Yes,
that was established by a Hungarian,
really?
Agoston Haraszti, who was from the Tokaj wine region, which is just behind me. And he was like a great traveler and a winemaker. And he was the first one who brought vines and planted in Napa Valley. You see his picture as well in the Buena Vista Winery.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm sure not a lot of people know that either. That's a massive connection.
No, yeah. So actually, thanks to Hungarians, you have great wines in Napa.
Oh my God! Wow. Seriously, I kind of feel embarrassed not knowing that.
Oh no, many people don't know it.
No, it's such a big part of the whole experience there. And I mean, in people that are into wine, people that aren't even into wine, it's just a really, really important thing to experience while you're there. And Etyek is, if you're strapped on time and you can't get really, really immersed in things outside of Budapest, that's a great way to experience wine history.
Plus, in Etyek, I think it's so important to mention as well, we have our biggest movie studio in Etyek as well.
Right.
We've been talking about celebrities already.
I got so excited about this. One of my favorite Netflix shows, The Last Kingdom, was filmed in those studios.
Yes, in the studios, absolutely. Yes, so actually Hungary is the second most popular movie shooting destinations for major feature films, actually, because like Budapest, as we've been talking about, architecture can be sold as any European city, actually. So we've been already like Berlin, Moscow, even Barcelona. We've been Argentina in movies. The Evita was filmed here even.
Are you serious? I had no idea.
Yeah, so when Evita is singing her, like the major song in the movie, it's at the terrace at our opera house.
Oh, okay. I need to watch that now. I used to work right around the corner from the opera house. Now I got to see it. I saw that every single day.
Yes, absolutely. So we've been, and like many like series or films have been shot here. Even now, given the circumstances that actually no tourists can enter to Hungary, but the filmmakers can, thank God. So actually, new shows are being shot as well.
That's awesome.
Moment.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so these are some awesome day trips. So for guests that have more time and they want to get out, what are some of the places that you would recommend for somebody that can visit 4 or 5 different places outside of Budapest?
Oh my God, where to start? we always go to the west. I would start with the east at the moment first. Yeah. So actually, let's start with my favorite place, the Tokaj wine region.
Yes.
And this fortress, castle behind me, it's in a very small settlement which called Happy Stone. So even the stones are happy in that part of the country. So the Tokaj wine region, it's actually 3 hours drive from Budapest on a highway. And it consists of 27 small settlements. And if anybody knows Hungarian wines, then it's the Tokaj wine, the sweet wine, the natural sweet wine from Tokaj, which is the Tokaj Asszú, which can be found actually in the biggest Michelin star restaurants throughout the world. So it's a really high quality wine, and it's very it's an amazing wine. It has high sugar content, but it's natural because the way how they make it and how they harvest the grapes, it's different as well. The Tokaj wine region is part of the UNESCO World Heritage since 2002, and even there are rules which type of grapes can be planted there, and by law you can plant only white grapes, so only white wines can be actually made in Tokaj. And the Asszú, the harvest of the Asszú grapes, actually it's end of November or even in December, because they have to wait until a bit of a frost, and there is the noble rot which is on the Asszú grapes as well, and they pick it by berry by hand.
They do everything by hand. Okay.
Yes, everything by hand. That's and awesome. Even so do the whole process is really unique, and it's a long process, and even to have a bottle of Asszú, it takes 5-6 years even.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why it's such a
special,
yes, and wine. But so and that dates back actually, making the Asszú to the 1700s. So the Tokaj wine region was the first ever closed wine growing region in the world.
Oh, okay.
So and we've been delivering wines to the Russian Tsars, to the French kings, and actually the French king Louis XVI said that the Tokaj Asszú is the wine of kings, the king of the wines. So
king of the wines.
This is.
Well, for coming from him, that would probably be
yes. Yeah, it's great, and I really love that area is small settlements, but given the different hills and the different climate, even if you go from one settlement, one village to the other, you taste different wines as well. So it's really great. And in the last 20 years, they don't only produce the sweet wine, the Asszú, but as well dry wines.
Okay, I didn't know that.
This is my favorite wine, the Furmint, which is the Furmint is a grape type which almost only can be found in Hungary, and it's a really unique, it's a great dry. I mean, they make the Asszú from that as well, but if they harvest it before, then it makes the dry wine.
Right. No, that makes total sense. And you said, these grape varietals you can only experience in Hungary, and I think that makes the destination so unique. Not just for wine, but there's so many different things that you can only get there. From seasonings to pretty much everything, and from a culinary perspective, you can only get.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, as well, in the Tokaj area, it's not only about wines, but yes, great restaurants as well. One of my favorite restaurants is in this area, which is 2.5 hour drive from Budapest, but sometimes we go there only for lunch on a Sunday.
That's it's worth it.
So it's absolutely worth it. It's great. It's a family-owned place. They have actually the owners. It's two brothers, and they worked in Italy for a long time, and brought a lot of knowledge as well from there. But one of them is always in the restaurant, and I love the name of the restaurant, which is in Hungarian. It's My Mother Said, which is really. It's really like typical for Hungarians and Hungarian boys that they always do what their mother says in the kitchen for sure. And we met the mom as well, who is really the boss actually. So still says how to do one or the other dish, no matter if their sons are great chefs, really well known and successful, but still do everything.
Listen to your mom.
Yes.
That's a great name. But you can still do. I think that Tokai, even if you're not into food and wine, there's still other things to do around the area, like hiking and cycling and history.
Yes, absolutely. There are loads of new bicycle routes have been built there. Great castles, palaces. But as well, one of the most amazing zoos, like a great big zoo, which is great with families. And the longest zip line of Hungary is here as well. Like the mountains are great for hiking. Culturally as well, there is a big Jewish heritage in the region. Actually, the root of the Wander rabbis and the synagogues and if some people are looking for their heritage, they usually go to that area as well, because there are many Jewish families have been emigrated to the US from that area.
Coming from Tokai, and then if we move a little bit, it's either south. I think south you've got Debrecen and Hortobágy.
Yes, Debrecen and Hortobágy. Yes, these are. If you are starting from Budapest, they are a bit closer to Budapest than the Tokai region. Okay. Actually, because like all of our highways are starting from Budapest, like a star. So actually, you can reach almost all of the different regions on highway starting from Budapest. So that's a great hint.
Okay.
So Debrecen is actually the second largest city in Hungary. And it's a great university town, and as well a reformed town. So actually it's interesting because a majority of Hungarians are, so the major religion is Christian, but there is a big reformed community in Debrecen, and like the reformed church. The Reformed College is there. Many of our poets learned there as well in the college. So it's a great history in the town.
And it's from what I understand, from what I remember, Debrecen is like there's a lot of similarities to Budapest in terms of the architecture, but it's not as busy and as crowded, which I thought was a really nice experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So as I mentioned, it's the second biggest city, but Budapest has 2 million inhabitants. Debrecen has 200,000.
Think about that. Think about that. Yeah.
So it's not as busy, but it has a great city park, which is the great forest. You can even go out there with a narrow gauge railway to the forest, which has actually many stops, and in every stop you have some different activities to do, quad riding or even to see a museum, and at the end you arrive to the great forest, which is like the city park. There are a lot of activities, like outdoor activities to do there. And they just opened, so Debrecen is really evolving. They did loads of reconstructions and renovations and new openings. Just a huge beach and spa complex opened with like really loads of slides and pools and even a spa next to it. So it's for the summertime. It's a great fun to do that.
Is that I'm gonna butchered the name pronunciation. Please forgive me. Is that Hajdú-Szoboslo?
Hajdú-Szoboslo is next to Debrecen.
Okay.
Like this spa complex I mentioned is just opened in Debrecen this year, so it's brand new.
It's in proper Debrecen.
Yeah.
So, and you can also, from Debrecen, you can visit, you can see the Hungarian cowboys, right?
Yes, the Hortobágy, the Great Hungarian Plain. It's an amazing place. So actually, it's Europe's largest natural grassland. And there is even almost in some parts of the Hortobágy, there are no lights at all, so no cities around, no towns, no lamps. So it's like in the evening, it's like the total darkness, and what you only see are the stars.
Oh, beautiful.
You can see the Milky Way there. And like we spent this summer a night there with my colleagues, out at the pusta, so at the real middle of it, in tents, actually, like under the open sky. It was like amazing.
That would have been incredible.
It's like a Hungarian way of safari, I would say.
No light pollution, just you get your stargazing and everything.
Absolutely, and you go at so this is like a great program. You go on like to a horse carriage, and they take you out, and then you see like water buffaloes and sheeps and all the different kind of animals and mustangs. So horses, white horses. Oh my God, that was amazing, because in the morning when we woke up for the gallops of the horses. That was really like a great experience. So you see loads of animals in their natural environment, and then you arrive to the middle of nowhere, where these cowboys, the Hungarian cowboys, who actually live there, and they go out to the grassland for like 72 hours just to take care of the animals, of course, and they live in very, very small houses. And they cannot do anything. You don't have like a reception there, like telephone network. Right. You don't have anything. So it's only you and like the big nature around you. And the cowboys, together with the cowboys, we've been cooking our dinner. So eat like that traditional food, which is full of grease, actually, of course, because they need it against the cold and everything. But it's like
these guys, they're real cowboys. It's not like something that
this is their profession, that they take care of the animals and ride the horses, and at the same time they are the ones who really knows all of these like great shows to do with the horse, like like riding 5 horses at the same time and everything. So we saw these kind of shows as well. They are artists as well, so they can play on different instruments and sing. So it was like a great night.
That's an unbelievable, authentic experience to be had nowhere else on earth. And if you just geographically, if you're moving south of where we're talking about Hortobágy, you're kind of like south. I'm thinking southwest of this. You've got
southeast.
Southeast. Oh, no, I'm saying like I want to talk about Pécs.
Pécs. Yes, southwest. Yeah.
Into that southwest, and Pécs is. I thought that I think Pécs is a must, because it's just, not only is the city center so cool, and there's so many different things that you can do, but it's also close to a bunch of things that are nearby. Tell us a little bit about Pécs and why it's a really cool place. So
Pécs actually was European Capital of Culture a few years back.
Okay.
So for that occasion, they made as well a lot of developments in the city, and that area we call our Mediterranean region. So that area has like the most number of sunny days. It's much warmer. and the greatest place to grow red grapes and make red wines in that area in Hungary, actually. I really love Pécs because it's like a jewel box. It has loads of heritage from the Turkish era, but from the early Christian ages. You have a World Heritage Site there as well, the early Christian mausoleums.
Right.
Like the same type of graves can be found only in the Vatican City, plus there in
No
Pécs.
kidding. In that early Christian cemetery. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's cool. I had no idea.
It's underground, actually, so it's really, you have to climb down to see them, and some of the original colors and paintings are still on there, so it's really worth a visit. And it's a lot of heritage to talk about, but you find as well Ottoman heritage, the minaret, and like the church, which is now a Christian church, but it was as well Jami.
Yeah. It's all kind of like right there together in the melting pot again.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, what I love is the Zsolnai quarter of Pécs. Zsolnai is the second most important porcelain manufacturer in Hungary. The first one is Herend, which is as well known worldwide, I would say. And the second one is in Pécs, which can be actually known from the tiles of Budapest. Many buildings have like this Majolika tiles, very colorful, like the Matthias Church, for example.
Yeah.
And it's made there down in Pécs in that porcelain manufacture as well.
I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know anything about that. That's amazing.
Happy that I can tell you some news about
definitely.
Hungary.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, so in that quarter, you can see that manufacture, the porcelain manufacturer, they make as well, there is a gloves manufacturer, the Pécsi Kesztyű, gloves from Pécs. They have, I guess, even like a shop in New York. So it's really like amazing leather gloves and very traditional and like a great manufacturer as well. So in that quarter, you can see a lot of different things, really, really great.
Okay. And this is also very uniquely Hungarian that you can't get anywhere else inside or outside of Hungary.
Outside of Hungary, and like small manufacturers, so you can go in there, even the porcelain or the gloves, and try out how to do the gloves, or see how the people are doing that, the different like parts of the gloves, or even like the porcelain you can take part in and see how they are doing.
Right, it's that intimate level of craftsmanship similar to what you would experience kind of like with wineries or with restaurants.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
These old family-run businesses, which I think is incredibly cool as a small business.
Yes. Absolutely. And Pécs is surrounded by a huge mountain, Mecsek, from the north. And actually those mountains gives this special microclimate and the Mediterranean feeling as well of the area. And that's the reason why there are so amazing vines. And it's not in Pécs, but close to it in two small villages, Villány and Palkonya, where you have like traditional families who make great wines. My favorite is Palkonya, which is a very small settlement with like German inhabitants.
Okay.
Saxon.
Right.
Saxons, or how you call that?
Exactly.
And it has, I think, like 600 inhabitants, the small town, but every single family has his own winery.
Okay.
And you can find it in one row of the town, next to each other, like the small wineries. And they do a festival in the summertime when all of the wineries are open. You can taste wines, but some of them does truffle hunting as well. There is great truffle in the area, actually.
That's
as
something. I
well.
love that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and you can taste. So one morning we went there, so we ate truffles for breakfast. It was amazing.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
That's definitely something that is a lot of people's weak point. They love when you say truffles. They're like, okay, I'm in.
yeah.
My favorite part about Page, I've got to say though, is not only just all the different melting pot of culture that's there in history, but it's got this really cool youthful vibe, and I think it's a university town, if I'm not mistaken.
As well, a university town, yes. Like famous medical universities there, but yeah, many others. So absolutely. Yeah, there are a few university towns. Obviously, Budapest is the biggest. Most of the universities are here, but some of the really like famous universities are in Pécs or in Debrecen even.
Okay. I mean, it's just one of those really, really, unique places where you can't get all of this, the youthful vibe, the craft wineries and all of the history coming together. It's a really, really special place.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we continue our journey around Hungary, moving west, I know that the second most visited place outside of Budapest is Balaton.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Balaton
Absolutely.
and the different experiences that you can do there.
Yeah, like the Lake Balaton is the largest freshwater lake of Central Europe.
Right.
So I don't know if you noticed, we have a lot of largest things in the small territory of Hungary, like
Cool.
The world's largest thermal water cave system, the second largest thermal water in Lake Heves, which is as well near to the Lake Balaton, Lake Balaton itself, and Europe's largest natural grassland. So loads of like large stuff. So the Lake Balaton area is actually the ultimate vacationing place for Hungarians.
Yes.
Almost every second family has a home near to the lake.
Right.
So it was traditionally the place to go in the summertime. But nowadays it's really like a year-round destination. Obviously it's amazing in the summertime because you can swim in the lake, there is sailing, there is like Europe's largest around the lake competition, sailing competition. The Blue Ribbon competition is on the Lake Balaton. There is even a 120 miles long cycling route around the lake, so you can bike around the lake in 3-4 days. And at the north shore of the lake, it's hilly, it's amazing vineyards all around the lake, and at the Balaton Highlands, which is my absolutely favorite destination of that part of the country. And like the south shore, it's more flat. And we always say like the families love to go to the south shore because the water is steeper there, so it's great with kids. And like the northern shore, it's more like it's for wine lovers. It's more like the bigger towns or cities around the lake are on the northern part. We have a peninsula, the Tihany Peninsula. And Tihany is a small town, but a fun fact that's the most expensive town in Hungary. So the price of the real estate is the most expensive there, even higher than in Budapest.
So if somebody says that that's where they have a second house, then you can just assume a few things.
Yeah, but it's really amazing. And in Tihany, we have one of our oldest archabbeys, 1,000 years old archabbey at the peninsula. And in there we found the oldest Hungarian words actually in the letter of that archabbey, like the establishing letter of the archabbey. You find the oldest Hungarian words because it was actually written in Latin language that time, but you can already pick a few words in Hungarian.
So for language dorks like myself, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, and it's like it was 1,050 years ago when they established that archabbey, and one of our kings have been buried there in the underneath the church as well, and from like the terrace or the garden of the church, you have an amazing view to the whole lake. So
Okay.
it's
So
really,
to, I guess, briefly summarize, in the north, you've got more of like, more history, kind of like visiting different towns and villages, wine you had mentioned. And in the south, it's a little bit more about swimming, families, kind of, but
I would say the south is more for the locals.
okay, south is for locals. Gotcha.
And like the northern part, you have more like smaller hotels, B&Bs, great restaurants. So really there is a gastronomical boom in whole Hungary. And after Budapest, the Balaton area is where you find like the best restaurants as well.
Speaking of gastronomical booms, we've touched on Hungarian food.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the different influences and what makes Hungarian food so good compared to other different regional cuisines.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the different influences, but as well, I think that, Hungarians were like really a nation who've been worked on the fields and needed like a lot of like energy to get from the food. And that's why we are using so much like bacon and or potato or meat, many type of different like pork or beef even. And of course, a lot of paprika. So actually, I would say almost all of her dishes are red because of the paprika, but I really love it. It's really amazing.
Well, you'd mentioned previously, like a lot of it's rich, and it's. I mean, do you personally eat Hungarian food like 3 times a day, or is it get too much?
No, it's and like. Really, like our gastronomy evolved a lot as well, because you have already Hungarian food, which is not that heavy. So obviously, I don't eat goulash every day or every week even. But actually, I would eat fish soup every week. Like the fish soup is really it's spiced with paprika, and the fish are either from the Lake Balaton or from one of our river, and we make fish soup even like on the open fire in great pots. So I really love that dish. Or the stuffed cabbage with sour cream. It's as well amazing, but very heavy. So Hungarian dish is really mainly for the weekends or when you have like guests or like international guests where you wanna show off your knowledge of Hungarian dishes.
As you should. It's so different and so good. And like I remember being a tourist in the city, and I wasn't there long enough to just really just kind of get my own routine going there. So I was pretty much eating Hungarian food 3 times a day.
I mean, of course, when you want to taste everything, there are so many different things.
Sure.
We've been talking about langos, which is like a typical dish at the Lake Balaton on the beaches, like the dough, round dough. So you eat it every time when you are at the Lake Balaton. Or the chimney cake, which is like this round dough. It's full of sugar. It's like a dessert. Looks like a chimney, and you eat it in the Christmas markets actually every time. But even like the gastronomy evolved a lot. Like fine dining enthusiasts have really a wide range of premium places to go to. We have 6 Michelin star restaurants in Hungary, in Budapest, which is actually like the highest number of Michelin stars in Central Europe. So it's really like a great variety of the traditional Hungarian food and the fine dining experience, not to mention our market halls in Budapest, which are must visit as well. Like the biggest market hall is like the Great Market Hall, close to the Liberty Bridge, which has 3 levels. Like at the cellar, you have all the pickles. We do a lot of pickles as well from different type of vegetables in Hungary. And all the fish products are there as well on the basement. And then on the main level, like the local producers bring there all the vegetables and meat and paprika and everything that you can buy. Or goose liver. We haven't talked about goose liver, which is actually amazing with tokayasu. So we don't eat like goose liver. Many people know it from the French cuisine, but it's as important and popular in Hungary as well. And actually, many of the goose liver is important to France from Hungary. Just a hint.
Okay, I won't my French friends that.
Oh yeah, and. Actually, so that's like a typical Christmas dish for us. We don't drink tokayasu every day, obviously, and don't eat goose liver every day, but it's a typical dish for Christmas, actually, like goose liver pate with tokayasu. It's amazing.
That's a really nice tradition, actually. Yeah, I couldn't imagine drinking that every single day. I mean, it would lose like so much of its just unique qualities. I love that.
Absolutely. Yes, so it's for special occasions, absolutely.
For sure, as it should be, justified.
Yes.
Well,
and like the last point of the gastronomy, I think our cafes, because it's an amazing cafe house culture in Hungary. Many important things in Hungarians' history happened actually in cafes. So almost all of our revolution started in a cafe. So it's really like important places of Hungarian culture and history.
Yeah, it's almost symbolic. And what is the, I'm going back, I'm going to embarrass myself because I know it's a famous cafe and I forget the name of the cafe.
The New York Cafe, maybe?
No, it's the one on Vörösmarty Square.
Gerbeaud.
Gerbeaud, that's it. That's his French name, Gerbeaud.
Yes. Gerbeaud, which is as well one of our traditional cakes, the Gerbeaud cake.
Yes, right. And that's for me, that's like I used to go there, not every day, but regularly because I lived right by the place, and it's just really nice overlooking everything. And that was my metro stop. And so it was just part of my little Hungarian routine there. So we've pretty much we've touched on food, we've touched on wine, different parts of Hungary and Budapest itself and the history. And right now, when we publish this, I expect we're going to publish this in sometime in late November. We are in 2020. It is the COVID situation, and we realize that everything is kind of shut down in Central Europe. But what steps has the Hungarian tourism business industry done during this downtime to get ready for the surge in demand, which I'm sure is going to be there?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, we haven't stopped for a moment. Actually, we've been really busy and used this time to develop our resources. Actually, we've been done a lot of brochures with bucket list elements, itineraries from the different part of the country, because people usually and North Americans knows Budapest.
Right.
And actually Budapest is a much stronger brand than Hungary. When I talk to people and ask them, have you been to Hungary? No. Actually not. Okay, then I start to talk about it. So the capital city of Budapest. Of course, I've been to Budapest. So actually, this is so we try to as well bring the brand of Hungary for a higher level and showcase the other parts of Hungary as well. So not only like the different kind of brochures, but we have a very interesting project with my colleagues. We are, as we cannot go abroad, we are traveling throughout, we've been traveling throughout the whole country in the last 5 months with a professional film crew. And experienced really amazing like local programs, what we've been talking about, like wineries, active programs, so castles and palaces, and we're biking throughout the Puszta and overnighted at the Great Hungarian Plain. And all of these are filmed, and we are preparing like 3-4 episodes from the different regions with narration. And actually this is dedicated to travel advisors, as usually we are doing fam trips throughout the year to invite advisors, but this year we couldn't do that. So actually we produced all these films, and hopefully this will help to get to know more about our regions, about the country, and sell the idea actually to your customers to spend more time in Hungary.
Completely, like slow down and experience the culture. And I think that there are a lot of people that want to, Americans, and I can say this because I am American. We are so like obsessed with ticking different lists and all these, so most people when they go to Budapest, it's part of this multi-country tour it's a river cruise and things like that. But people don't realize, that there's so much more to do by slowing down and experiencing different parts of the country. And it's so, like I keep saying, unique. And that's not a blanket statement. It really and truly is. And if you allow yourself the time to just relax and check out different areas throughout Hungary, you're going to be incredibly rewarded. And you're going to come back to the States and talk to your friends, and you're going to completely surprise them by saying what you've done and what you've experienced, because they've never heard of it before.
Yes, absolutely. Plus, what else have we done? Actually, like the Hungarian Tourism Agency itself. So we are handling the funds from the state and from EU as well to finance the developments throughout the country. And I heard a lot from not a lot. I heard already from Americans that, they tried to go to the countryside, but they didn't find any accommodation which would suit for an American traveler. Right. So actually, we are almost there, that we are building new hotels in the countryside as well. In the Tokaj region, we have already a 5-star hotel, and we are building new ones and doing reconstructions in many parts of the country to rebuild hotels, reopen them, restructure them, and not only hotels, but attractions, infrastructure, biking routes are being built. So actually, a lot of developments are going on even in 2020, because we are really preparing for the future and wanna welcome international tourists back as soon as possible with even more offerings.
Absolutely, you got to get ready for it, because people are going to want to go. And we're about to run out of time, unfortunately. I did want to ask you before we go, what is your personal favorite destination in Hungary, and what experience would you always suggest for somebody?
Yeah, maybe I already mentioned, and this is why I picked actually this background, because that castle is my ever favorite in the country, which is at the Tokaj wine region. And we always say that what is the difference between a Hungarian and the surrounding countries? Like, for example, Czech people are beer drinkers. We are wine drinkers, Hungarians. So I personally love good wines. I love actually like the story of the wines and to visit all of the vineyards and talk to the different winemakers and slow down, because they have such a different life in these small villages actually. So that's why, this is the reason why Tokaj area is such a unique place for me, because it's a World Heritage Site, but still at the east part of the country is less developed as the western part.
Sure.
But many people have chosen that part of the country to keep up the World Heritage, and they are working a lot actually to develop that part of the country and to really maintain all the heritage. And for me, it's personally important as well, when you are visiting a region or a village, then you give back to the local community.
Exactly.
And then I know when I spend the night there, I eat in a restaurant, I visit the castle, then it's always the locals who are working there, who you are supporting with your trip, and you can be part of their lives as well. They are so incredible, amazing, and friendly, and always you just meet a new friend, and they really happy to invite to their own business or to their own place to showcase and talk about their own stories.
But it's a real, genuine, authentic experience, all while you're contributing to sustainable economics. And so
yes,
I think that's really
absolutely. So yeah, I think for me this is sustainability, and in the Hungarian countryside, you really can be part of it and find it. And if the situation changes anything, and it's really like sustainability is important, then I believe that our countryside destinations have a chance as well to get more international tourists.
Yes, I think so too, and I hope that this podcast raises that awareness of things that you can do to help and just have these incredible experiences like nobody else can have nowhere else on earth can offer. So, Zsuzsanna, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This has been fantastic, and I can't wait to get this episode out.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support, and thank you for helping me spread the word about our little gem of a country.
It's wonderful. It's an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait for my next trip. Oh my gosh, all this new stuff that I'm learning from you. I appreciate everything.
Absolutely. Thank you as well. And looking forward to welcome you back.
Yes, definitely. All right. Ciao. Take care. Have a great day.
Oh, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Smart Aspirations. Justin Huff is the manager of Swaggy Swan Travel. For all travel-related inquiries, please visit www.swaggyswan.com. That's www.swaggyswan.com. And click inquiries. Have a stupendous day, and we'll see you next week.